Welcome to the Your Living Proof podcast. If you love someone struggling with addiction and are searching for answers, we're so glad you found us. Families are the cornerstone of long-term recovery, yet they often go unsupported. Our mission is to strengthen and support this vital but often overlooked part of the addiction recovery process. We're here to help families understand what their role is and isn't in this journey. Addiction deceives and takes everything you're willing to give. But if you know better, you can do better. And we're here to help you do just that. If you're asking, how can I help my addicted loved one? This is your community.
If you enjoy watching podcasts, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. For more support and resources between episodes, follow us on Instagram at Your Living Proof or visit our website at yourlivingproof.com. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Your Living Proof podcast. We are on number 118. Holy cow.
I know. It's wild.
I remember when it was like we'd done like 7 or 8 and we're like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of work. It's exhausting.
It is. But it's great.
And then you get up there and you're like, we've done 50. And I'm like, now we're over 100. Holy cow.
How's it going, guys?
Especially on this topic, right?
I know.
Hey, if there's one thing that doing this has proven is it's difficult. It's a crazy way to make a living. But unfortunately, the truth is just the need.
Oh my gosh.
The overwhelming need for this. For families to have a better understanding of what to do in these horrible situations with their loved one, we're here for you. But yes, how are you doing? We're off and going in the new year.
Yep.
How's your New Year's resolutions going? We talked about that in the last episode. Some of mine aren't going so well.
It's okay. There's always next year.
Hey, can I tell a funny story? Hey, listen, if you're not interested in us or like our stories or our personal life at all, just fast forward like 2.5 minutes, maybe 1 minute. Around the holidays, I'm not trying.
It was 2 days before Christmas.
I'm not trying to make light of something horrible, but I am. My wife had, what's the worst thing? What's the worst pain? I think there's a couple arguments. People could be like back pain, sciatic nerves. I think most of us would agree that excruciating is it tooth or teeth pain?
Tooth pain.
Teeth pain. I say teeth pain.
Go ahead.
Tooth
it was only
pain?
one tooth, so I'm going to go with singular tooth.
You know how that... Okay, if you're younger, maybe you don't have problems with this, but as you get older, your teeth... Okay, she had this excruciating... Did you just... Was I just...
I just was like, now I can feel it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. She had a tooth worked on a while ago. It was kind of like, it might be a cavity. We might need to do a root canal. We don't know. So they just, we had a dear friend that was awesome. Let's just try this route. Well, when it realized it was needed a root canal, it came on. What's the word? I mean, it came on fierce.
It was a very acute pain that just set in within, minutes. Like 1 minute I was fine, and the next minute I was like, let's pull my tooth.
In all the years we've been married, I've watched her, just like most of you women out there who are amazing, who can endure pain. Okay, the truth is women can endure pain much better than men on average, without a doubt. And I've seen that firsthand. I've witnessed crazy things, childbirth, many other difficult things she's gone through that she just handled like a champ. I'm sorry, but when I get like a really bad cold, I'm out for the count. I'm crying. I need some sympathy. I need a lot of help and support.
Man cold.
The man cold. Okay, so back to the point of the story. She did this, or she had this happen, and it was horrible too because it was on a Sunday.
Yeah, it was like Christmas Sunday, right? Like the Sunday right before Christmas, and I wanted to enjoy every moment, but I was wincing and whimpering.
So we had to call some help. We had to call friends, right? There's not a lot of resources available that time of year, let alone on Sunday. So we had a friend call in. It's like, you need to get you on an antibiotic. And I mean, she's in so much pain. It's like, we need to get you some help with some pain medication.
Yeah, because I had taken so much ibuprofen and it wasn't
Did
even
nothing.
Touching it.
So here's where I bring this funny story up. I'm sure you guys all have your own challenges and you're not interested in her root canal. Okay, back in the days of my addiction, and thankfully I can laugh at it now. It's been a long time. I was I had a high tolerance.
That's putting it lightly.
To substances, and I would take a lot, right? That's what happens. It doesn't matter. You like build a tolerance to it and you take more and more. So there was what I did. And then she got a pain pill.
And 1 oxycodone.
A singular pill. Okay, guys, she took it and I don't know, she started to panic. She didn't know what was happening. She was throwing up for a long time.
It did help my tooth. Like my tooth stopped hurting, but I felt so sick. Like I couldn't stop throwing up.
She couldn't handle it. And she's like, I don't like the way I feel. Like I don't like this. I want this to go away. And right then and there, it was just this vivid reminder that I've had a couple of times of the difference in some of us. Your loved one, maybe like me, where we take those medications, those substances, the alcohol, whatever, things that might make her crawl out of her skin and throw up. And the rest of us are like, oh, you can actually hear angels blowing their trumpets.
I would have preferred the tooth pain to feeling totally out of control, itchy, and throwing up.
Okay, there's two different types of people. Those who take these and feel whole, and it's not just pain pills, right? But those who take them and feel the goodness, they feel
the goodness,
all of it. And anyway, there's other people who are like, meh. So there are two people. Remember, your loved one's more like me, and maybe you're more like my wife.
Yes.
Okay. So back to the point. Why are we here? We're trying to help you. We're trying to give you some tools and the guidance to address this terrible situation with your loved one, whether it's a spouse, a sibling, a child. Most of you are deeply concerned. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast or our crazy stories. So no matter how hard and difficult this is or has been, what if I told you it was simple? What if I told you that for your loved one to overcome this thing, maybe some of you are questioning if they'll ever be sane. There's a woman in our private community right now, that's her biggest fear, is her son is young. He's like 19 or 20. And because, there's a few substances involved, but it's mainly high volumes of marijuana. Mm-hmm. And it's created this induced psychosis, which is a new thing we'll talk about in another episode. Mm-hmm. Marijuana today is not the marijuana of the old. And she's wondering if he'll ever be like normal again.
Yeah. So
there's lots of fear. Or maybe they've been recently arrested. I don't know what that fear is, but you have it. And what if I said, not only can we take care of that, but your person can be restored to a better version of themselves had they never gone through this, and that it was fairly simple.
It'd probably make me want to punch you in the throat.
You said that yesterday, though.
But seriously, it'd probably make me mad because I'm like, no, this isn't simple.
The roadmap to addiction recovery is simple. The tragedy is that addiction makes simple feel impossible. The second part of that tragedy is what the addiction has done to you and to everyone else in the world. Duping it, is that a word? You got duped, manipulated, blinded, exhausted, lied to. It is easy. It's a proven path. And I've watched it in my own life, in the life of hundreds of other people. Even before I started this line of work in this profession, I was involved in my own recovery, eventually started helping by sponsoring people, facilitating other meetings, and watched. The path to recovery was actually simple. The biggest challenge that remains yesterday, today, and probably forever is the willingness to do it. One of the quotes that I share the most, one of my famous quotes is, I was going to share it in a minute, but I'm just going to come out and share it now. Maybe I'll say it twice so that you actually remember it. The difference between those who recover and those who stay stuck in their addictions or dysfunction is simple. It's the ones who become willing to do what's required rather than what they feel like doing.
Amen.
So the roadmap is clear. It's been the same, hasn't changed much. Now, there's a huge demand. I want to get off track, so don't let me. The roadmap for recovery has not changed much in several decades, for a very long time. But there is such a demand now for these services because there is so many people, right? The Department of Health and Human Services knows of like 50 million with addiction that they know of. But the real number, we don't know. Most lie in secrecy is far greater than that. So there's a lot of people dealing with this, a huge demand. So there's been subtle changes, right? There's demand, there's always opportunity. Now there's all this, take this and this will solve it. Do this and it'll solve it. There's all these new cutting edge ways. But the roadmap for recovery has not changed in a long time.
When you say that, are you referring to like ayahuasca retreats or ketamine
Yes,
therapy?
yes. Or new
Let's
medications.
try this.
Just get on Adderall. Just do this. Just take that. Just consume this. Those are all diversions. Those are all divert you maybe from what you were doing to something new, but it's still a chemical solution to a spiritual or emotional wound. Yeah. There's even also the stigma. Do you know that the demand out there now has changed the behavioral health world? It's changed the landscape of it. It's changed the landscape of it because insurance now will provide a lot of people resources to get help, but it dictates how long. It dictates where you go.
It's such a joke.
It's overwhelmed the system. I'm getting off subject, but it's overwhelmed the system so much that they don't even have time to support you. They don't even.
We need to do a whole episode on that.
Okay. Then I'll get back on track.
It's fine. It's so valid. And I think people need to kind of understand more clearly what they're up against, even once they're inside of that system.
So recovery is not the mystery. Willingness is the missing ingredient. That's why there's these equal parts. That's why we exist. Do we apply to everyone? No, because there's so many different situations, circumstances.
Yeah.
There's the whole corrections part of this, the homelessness part of this. But what about the millions of people like you? Amazing people, families who are, we're all dysfunctional, but families who are out there trying, who want to help. What about us? We are here to help educate and support you to know this. So we're going to get into that in one sec. We're going to get into the two parts to this proven recipe for success. But let's right now look at your loved one. Okay. A lot of this that we teach and get into detail and remind people of over and over is what we do in our private program. Also, you start learning some of that in our free community. But let me just run through it real quick and give you the gist of it. I always question that word. And without you, I would be lost. Is it gist of it?
Yeah.
Or just of it?
Just.
Gosh. So this is an issue between us. I'm sidetracked again. I sometimes doubt some of the things I say because my wife is so intelligent and articulate. She went to Brigham Young University.
Okay, moving on.
So I'll often find out that I was saying words wrong for most of my life.
I don't know why no one was brave enough to tell you, but...
She does. So now sometimes I'm like, wait, is that the right word? I doubt myself. But back on to better things. If your loved one's going to heal, pretty simple. They need some medical attention. Their consumption, and you're going to be just like everyone else who won't take this to heart or believe it, is much greater than you know. Mm-hmm. Much more consistent. It's been going on a lot more. There's other things involved often, or just the consumption of that one thing is much more than you ever know. The health is jeopardized much more than. And do you know the danger in trying to detox on your own, which is what everyone in addiction does? 100% of them try to taper off or detox on their own. It's extremely dangerous. That's where the high risk of overdose comes involved.
Right.
When people do detox for a few days, they suffer in agony by themselves, and then they go and use again the same amount they were just days later. That's where the majority of people overdose and die. So it's dangerous. They need medical attention. They need a detoxification process that looks different for everyone. A period of time where these poisons are safely removed from their body. Plain and simple. They need an intensive start. Some sort of inpatient residential rehab. If you're listening and saying, oh, they've already done that, we're going to get to that in a minute. Everyone needs that. They need to be around other professionals and people for a myriad of reasons. I could spend a whole episode on that right there. Mm-hmm. Now, do I know there's a stigma towards rehab? Oh, of course. Do I know there's a high volume of failure? Yep. And we're going to get into that. There's also a solution to that, a very clear solution, which is one of the most empowering things people learn in our free and private community of why that is and how you can change that. So I know there's a stigma of it. They're going to need that initial beginning. They're going to need a transition, is what I call it, to the next level of care, which is, by the way, where most people jump ship before they had time to heal. Sure, some people been to detox. Maybe your loved one has several times. Maybe they went to a residential inpatient program. Most people jump ship and they never take that transition to next levels of care. It's so plain and simple. As they're trying to reintegrate into life, facing all the wreckage, consequences, disappointment, triggers that they've avoided. Holy cow, can you imagine? So here they just jump ship. You didn't know any better. There's so many problems, but I'm looking at the roadmap, giving it, right? Then they transition to the next level of care, like an intensive outpatient. After that, they transition to outpatient, and they're starting to work with sponsors, finding their own groups, working through the steps, starting to work on the underlying issues. This path, and people in our program, these amazing individuals and families come and they learn this roadmap. We go through the specifics, not only the specifics of what your loved one has to do, but what your part is at every mile marker in that on that map.
It's so incredible.
It is so incredible. What to expect, how we get to insert our boundaries and needs and help and all that for their continued willingness. Again, let's go back. What's the difference? The difference between people who recover and those who don't is those who are willing to do what's required rather than what they feel like doing. Hello, why is there so much failure in this? Most of us have already bailed out of our New Year's resolutions, and you're good, awesome, healthy, clear-minded people.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being affected by an addiction with chemicals and induced psychosis in your brain? They're not going to take all the necessary steps. For heaven's sakes, you didn't, and you're clear-minded. The missing pieces, what are those steps? How do we actually insert boundaries to ensure they take those steps? And if they don't, what do we do? Mm-hmm. How do we not make the situation worse? Like, how do we protect ourselves? There are so many questions, and no one's helping you at every mile marker. So when people take these, right, I've seen it firsthand inside of programs. I was at a long-term program myself, intensive programs in the rooms of AA and the 12-step groups. Often people are court-ordered by a judge. Let's say you're a fortunate one who a judge comes and says, okay, rather than sitting in a cage, here's this thing you have to do. You have to go to this program for a year or two. Inside those programs, they take those steps. They may call it something different. Each step has a different phase and a different acronym, but they take these steps. Mm-hmm. And a person has what? Time to heal. It's amazing how many of those people in that situation recover.
Yep.
What were the boundaries, though?
That's the whole thing, is they were not institutionalized, but kind of. Yeah. Like, it's almost like they didn't have a choice. Even if they were unwilling or unmotivated and they wanted to give up, they actually couldn't, because they were locked into this long-term program that pushed them well beyond anything they were wanting or willing to do.
So this last year in our spouses group, towards the end of the year, we had so much success. There were so many spouses who were in these situations that looked impossible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing because one or two of them started inserting boundaries, facing their fears. Loved ones started having success. Other people are borrowing their courage, following suit. It ended up becoming this crazy amount of people who successfully got a loved one into treatment and navigated every mile marker of their recovery, even when there were some challenges.
Yep.
Several of them had spouses that even relapsed.
Yep.
Once or twice.
But it didn't become catastrophic.
Yes, because they were supported every step of the way. Now, I bring that up. Why? Going back to what we just were talking about. There's been two of them whose spouses have been on, and even in the parents, a child who was on recently, who said, yeah, in the beginning, what my family was doing, what you taught them to do, felt so controlling. Mm-hmm. And I love it because I'm like, we're not here to control, but if our boundaries are correct and they're actually, in a way, being controlling and forcing a person to continue taking necessary steps, isn't that a beautiful thing? Now, I know how it is, and I know how it feels and what they're saying and how they're using it to manipulate you. But the truth is, the other people are being forced by a judge's court order. Do this or sit in a cage. Now, ours is much more supportive. Ours is much more involved and personal. And it involves our continued help, our continued willingness to retrust, our willingness to continue supporting you as long as you're doing this. So your loved ones, and I could go through this in more detail. Maybe we could do a full episode. I think we did one called the Recovery Roadmap. But the steps that your loved one has to take, it's actually clear path that when they do it, the chances of them recovering, it's never 100%, but it is extremely high. I've heard anywhere from 82%, 88%, 85%. Pretty good success rate for people who follow those necessary steps of their recovery.
Yeah.
But what we've been alluding to and touching on throughout, because I just can't, because it's the answer and it's such a critical part, is the other side of this, which is you. Mm-hmm. And the critical role and component that the family plays. So addiction is a family disease. If you've heard that and you cannot accept it or take it to heart, it just is.
Yeah. Well, and it shouldn't feel like a personal attack if you consider if you look at it through the lens of everyone in your family is affected by the disease. Not everyone is participating in the consumption of whatever the drug of choice is, but everyone is affected by that person's decision to do that.
And guess
regardless of how awesome your family is, you're just affected.
Amen. Most of the time, these addictions have been going on a lot longer than anyone's aware of.
Yeah.
And so have the needs to manipulate, control, persuade along the way. Mm-hmm. Most of all, it's the lying. When I look back at the many years my addiction was high functioning and not, I actually look in if I broke it down into like a 10-chapter book, the first 6 chapters of my addiction, no one else was really affected. It was pretty easy for me to keep it a secret. Now, sometimes I would be needy or I required a lot of help or people were getting lured into this without knowing, but they weren't deeply affected. But as it progresses, they were. However, the learned behaviors that I was doing through lying were starting to manipulate people far before they ever realized it.
Oh, yeah.
But then as it shifts to where it's now a problem, which is where most people are now that you're listening to the show, everyone in your family's been affected by it. So it is a family disease. Mm-hmm. Everyone in one way or another has played a part in this, big or small.
Yep.
But also, there's such beauty in this. My family, who they are today, are far better off, more united, more willing, more empathetic, healthier boundaries, living life at a higher echelon now, having gone through recovery, even if they weren't part of the problem.
Right.
Because when they did become willing to look at their part, to get help, to change themselves, my addiction of many years came to a halt in a matter of months because they changed. So if it's easy, right, let's just point out why so few do it. Because if addiction removes the very things recovery requires, let's identify a few of those.
Yeah.
Clarity. First of all, your love distorts the clarity more than the actual addiction itself. Most of you and other people can clearly recognize, oh, wow, their life's become unmanageable. Oh my gosh, they're headed down a bad path. Oh my gosh, they need to get help. But when it's someone close to you, your person, clarity becomes completely confusing because love muddies the water, right?
Yeah, well, your vision just gets distorted. It just does.
Because
of love.
What about the willingness? The practical thing here is the willingness, right? Like if we just told you and it makes sense that, yeah, a person's got to be willing to do this. Why do we make exceptions for the person we love?
Well, because you want to think the best and because you're caught up in their chaos. I mean, one of the blaringly obvious ones to me is like the convenience, right? Like it's never going to be a convenient time. Like you're always going to have an excuse as to like why, yes, I know we need to do it, but like just not right now. Like not right now. And that answer just gets strung along and becomes years of total abuse and dysfunction inside of your house.
Do you know one of the greatest lies? This is a principle taught within our courses, but we'll just give you a free little nugget here. One of the greatest lies that addiction uses to manipulate, look at the parallels here, not only your loved one in their addiction, but one of the greatest lies it uses to manipulate you, that person trying to help them. The beautiful word, hope.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll tell you whatever you need to think.
Their brain, again, speaking as a person who was stuck in their addiction for many years, you're always hoping that this is going to be different. Like, you're just around the corner from a big change. Like, you're going to do this. Like, you don't want this to remain in your life.
Yeah.
You can't see how sick you are. But hope is actually what holds the most beautiful parents, spouses, siblings back from doing anything, is we hope that this person will think about it. Apply this to your situation. You hope that they'll just clearly see what's happening and make a better decision. You hope that after the holidays, something's going to change. Mm-hmm. Some of you may not like this, but those of you who have deep-rooted faith, who are disciples of Jesus Christ, we hope that what?
That our prayers will change this person's behavior, that quite literally we can pray this away.
That if God wants this, he will take this from them.
Yeah. It just doesn't work. That's not the nature of God.
Well, no, and we've touched on that, but you can see how your faith turns into hope, and it actually is used. Addiction used it as one of the greatest lies and manipulation tactics to keep you right there hoping and waiting.
Yeah.
My challenge is, doesn't God use us as his instruments? He's asking you. He's hoping that you hear this and can separate yourself from all of the chaos, turmoil, and lies that addiction's been implanting and has been embedding in you, and that you will be an instrument in his hands.
Yep.
Something that is shared inside the groups often, I'm going to share it here. You will most likely, again, for some of you, the easier route out of this will be a judge. But for heaven's sakes, let's not sit and wait for that. Everyone who gets to that point.
And how is that? That is so sad.
I know. But
like the easy way would be is if the court of law had to get involved. That's when you know you need help.
That's the only other option.
I know.
We talked about it in the last episode. What are you waiting on? But
it's so sad.
You may be the only person in your loved one's life. And guess what? There's probably a dozen of others who should be, including them, who is willing to do this.
Yep.
Who will stand up even when other people, this is the saddest part, let's say you change, let's say you do this. You know how many people in our private program do this and change? They start to see what love is. They stand differently. They love differently. They show up differently. Not only is their loved one threatened, their addiction, but people in their life. People start judging them.
Oh, yeah. They get so
much judgment. Why are you doing this?
Like, you're not that's not what Christ would do. That's not how he would handle this.
You just need to love them.
Yeah, and I have massive problems with that.
Okay, and if you do too, because you can see that that's not working, your loved one needs you. And even if they're not deserving of it right now, that's the role that you play, is the person willing to look at this and show up differently.
I just want to, do you mind if I just
that's fine.
Cut in really quick? When families stop negotiating with this terrorist of addiction, and they learn how to not only just like say a boundary, but to mean it and to hold it instead of making requests.
It's like the herd of buffalo we talked about last episode.
And they're willing to heal their environment, which means start healing themselves. And they start engaging in group support, and they enter a program for themselves to understand this disease and to learn how to actually fight it, not just like talk about it. The chances of the entire family recovering, not just the loved one that's so clearly sick to everyone, skyrocket. When you're willing to walk through every single level of care, giving time to heal to, once again, everyone, so that they return home to a totally different environment, the ending is almost always, truly, I mean, in our program, over 80% of the time, when families are willing to do this, the ending is not only recovery, but it's restoration. It's redemption. Is that not what we would all hope for? We don't want just maybe that they're not as unhinged as they used to be. We want a full recovery, not just for them, but for everyone.
You know, recently on that note, just share a little story. There's a family that reached out, joined the program several months ago towards, Q3 of 2025, is an individual I knew. And the person they were trying to help was the father or husband. And he was older. He was much older. Mm-hmm. I mean, all of his children were adults and he had lots of grandchildren. So the wife had been affected for a long time. She's older too. The beauty of what happened to me, it was so beautiful, is when they came and got involved, he had several adult children, all successful, right? Dentists, an attorney, someone was an engineer, most of them married. So now it's complicated because you got their opinions and their spouses and how all their kids are being affected. Do you know that when they came and sought professional help, support, understood the roadmap, these are great people. The first miracle that happened is every one of them, amazing people, set aside their differences. Mm-hmm. Some of them had a lot more understanding of like mental health. Some of them had put a lot more effort into emotional well-being, right? So everyone had others were really practical, like logical. When they just all stopped, set aside their differences, unified with the plan and understood what those steps were and how to all speak the same, it started this healing in the family. It was so beautiful because meanwhile, Dad's just off doing whatever he's doing. He didn't even know any of this was happening. And what I look at it is look what happened here. The addiction took hold of this person and then it shook the cage, and everyone else in his life was just
rattled,
getting tossed around. Meanwhile, trying to work on their life, doing all the things they're trying to handle and do. And it protected it from anyone doing anything. Mainly because in this awesome family, they just all had a different of opinion.
Yep.
The unity that came involved, it actually changed everything immediate. So what had been going on for so many years,
decades,
stopped pretty quickly, and some decisions had to be made. Well, guess what? Fast forward just 2 months later when everyone's like, this is impossible, it's never going to happen. Dad got help. Now, was he angry and disgruntled about it? Sure. But did he keep doing it because the family spoke with a united voice? He did. Did he get to the end of that first part of the program and he's like, I'm good, I'm done. I don't want to be here with these stupid people anymore. I don't need to be here. Of course, the family stayed unified with one voice, all having a plan in place. He took the next step. Now here we are is in a process of a person having a change of heart. And I watch this all the time. The answer is you. So here's the great paradox. The path is simple. The disease makes it feel impossible. The hard part is getting someone to agree to walk that path. So that's why intervention's the typical word, right? When I went and got trained certified, that's the term that maybe you've heard out there. That's why the family disruption matters. And that's the difference you can have. But what we are doing in pioneering is much more than intervention.
Oh, absolutely.
I am so tired. There's nothing worse in my line of work than watching individuals who completely dismantled, hurt, destroyed everyone around them who actually finally go, for one reason or another, go get help. And as they start to heal, the most unfortunate thing I've seen are these individuals start to outpace the people they left in the wreckage. They become selfish in their recovery because they have to or they'll never make it. And the people who are affected are sitting there paralyzed while their loved ones even outpacing them. Can you believe that? So is what we're doing for everyone? Nope. The majority of people will be like, nope. They'll separate themselves from this. I don't really care. I'm not affected. I'm good. I'm fine. Go fix this person, which is why intervention started this line of work. So people did interventions to go get this sick person the help they need. We're looking at those that are willing to say, okay, we want to do that. Yes, please. That, for heaven's sakes, we need that. But what else?
Well, it's why rehab centers are making millions and millions and millions of dollars, because insurance now covers their stay. They don't care if your loved one goes there 6 times this year. They're going to get paid. They're not interested in helping you learn how to keep them from coming back. For those few who are willing to walk this full path, this system works. It just does. It just does. It's amazing. And for families who heal alongside them, the story is almost always a full redemption.
Hey, you know what? We're putting this out there to challenge myself. We're going to have a few of those on.
100%. Yes. We're going to allow you to hear these, but I want you to just circling back to the very beginning of this episode. This path is not hidden. I know it feels like it is, but it's actually not. The disease is the fog. The treatment clears that fog. Willingness moves the feet, but the family keeps the air clean when they return.
Ooh, and this morning after it rained, remember what I was saying?
Yes.
The air, I'm like, the earth's been clean because the air was clear.
So that is our purpose. Our true purpose is to help provide more families who want that, who are like, yeah, okay, help me, to be able to achieve that, because it's hard.
You can't force your loved one to do anything. You've already tried. You've already failed. But you can stop protecting the disease. You can build a plan. You can get support. You can start to, if you listen to our last episode, if not, here's a teaser, go back, create that mentality of the buffaloes.
Yep.
To face that storm together, unified head on, so that you're not stuck in it forever with them.
Yep.
So recovery is simple. Redemption is possible. But even if you're looking at this statistically, why is there so much failure? Can you imagine individuals in your loved one's situation doing this alone, even if they were the one in a million for one reason or another who went and got help? How do they climb out? How do they climb out of that wreckage? And if they return home to an environment like yours that had no support and help, even if it's a somewhat good environment, we've all had learned behaviors. We all have triggers. We all have deep-rooted things that are going to end up causing a destruction to occur again and again and again. The answer is you. So it is easy. And maybe, just maybe, before your loved one becomes willing to do what's required rather than what they feel like doing, the same thing applies to you. Are you willing to do what's required to exit this storm instead of doing what you feel like doing, which is staying right there in it? Let's end with a prayer for you as families.
God, grant me the serenity to accept that I cannot change other people, the courage to change the person that I can, and the wisdom to know that it is me. Guys, check the show notes for all the links on how to work with us and how to get involved. We are cheering you on every step of the way.
We're here for you. Have a great week.